Stuffed cheese.
Hello and welcome. What?
Welcome to the Stuffed Cheez-It Pizza Podcast.
Stuffed Cheez-It Pizza Podcast, episode number 21. It's gonna be a cheesy episode this week, right?
Creamy.
Creamy. Oh yes.
Creamy cheese.
Yeah.
Mature cheddar.
You know, we never do like a thing to say, hey, consider this while we're doing the show. And maybe what we should do this time is say, while you're watching the show, consider how you could use the word creamy in a what was it again when we were talking about? It was
in a
positive.
sentence in a sentence where you're not like, creamy.
Endearing. It was endearing.
Endearing, that's
Can
right.
you use the
Endearing.
word creamy in an endearing sense? You know, in a loving, endearing type of sense, not a creepy.
Something like,
you know,
I love that Tefty dude. He's so creamy.
Oh, wait, is that gonna be the challenge for like the rest of the podcast? You need to like sneak it in later on when no one's expecting it.
I mean, we
like
can do
it,
it
I
too,
like it.
for sure.
I like it.
But
Let's
anybody
do it.
listening,
Oh,
anybody listening, it'd be great to have some thoughts on, you know, like, and again, if you say something food-wise, see, that's too obvious. Like, obviously, cream
Yeah.
cheese
Yeah.
is creamy.
Obviously,
You know?
pasta could be creamy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. So,
Of course, cream can be creamy.
yeah, give that a thought while you're listening to things that are unrelated to creaminess, you know, while we talk about video games and stuff.
Yeah, something to take with you
Exactly.
for the rest of your day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So last week we actually didn't do the show because we were pretty deep into the Destiny world. You know?
We were
We
exhausted.
only played Destiny. Just only
Yeah,
Destiny.
except for Eric's. Eric's, you were in
Except for me.
right.
Well, I mean, I went to do it, right? I was really excited to get back into Shadowkeep. I booted up the game. My first hour was full of badgers or beavers or one of those animals.
Badgers,
And then when
beavers,
I finally
oh
got in the game, but then when we finally got in the game, we all sat down as a team. We were like, we really don't have time to play this. Like, we want to, but we're just like, there's so many games right now that we're just like trying to juggle and cover. And I was just like, and we loaded up the map, and then as soon as I got into the tower, I was like, because I haven't played since the update before Drifter, whatever that was, right? So I uploaded I loaded the map, and I'm
Season
like,
of the Forge.
what's new? What's old new?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even know what anything is anymore. I was like, you know what? I'm out.
It's easy to lose track of Destiny these days, for sure.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. I think that's why they're gonna be like getting rid of activities when new stuff comes out. So it's like this is the new stuff.
Make it not as confusing.
Mm.
Yeah.
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 That's
Well,
Yeah.
that and you need to buy like a 2 terabyte hard drive to keep Destiny on now.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, it's something that we could do in the future for this podcast specifically is have a new light perspective happen every now and then, or maybe once bring somebody in that could actually give like a completely new perspective, you know, as a new game.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Because it's definitely been confusing for a lot of people to get in that in
Oh,
an
yeah.
initial start, or a returning player like yourself, Eric's, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this show
Yeah.
is
This
not
is the
about
show
Destiny.
not about Destiny.
Yeah.
Whoa. Jinx, 10, you owe me a Coke.
we
Deal.
what do we got? We got PlayStations. We've got
PlayStation.
PlayStations, politics, and lots of holes. Well,
Yeah.
mostly just one.
Yeah. Yeah. Should we kick it off with the hole?
Yeah, let's do
That
that.
sounds like a great name for the
Is it?
podcast.
Yeah.
A
Politics with
creamy
holes.
Is it creamy? You know, that's a tough one to
Oh, good
decide
Lord.
whether or not that one's creamy because it's full of a lot of Fortnite stuff, right?
So hopefully not,
Yeah.
because there's probably just children in there.
Yeah.
Okay,
But maybe they
help
are.
me out here. I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. I've seen headlines that say Black Hole Fortnite, and I
That's
didn't read
literally
anymore.
it.
Okay.
That's it.
So instead of Epic saying we're going to have some downtime, we're changing Fortnite drastically for what they're calling Chapter 2. So apparently we've been in Chapter
that's
1.
interesting.
Yeah. Chapter 1 has been happening, apparently. And now it looks like Chapter 2 is going to be like out of early access for stuff. It seems like you can't buy Save the World anymore because it's going to be free to play and all that stuff. And like they're
Save the World's gonna be
okay.
free. That's good.
I believe this is still on the rumor level of stuff because they've essentially done a brilliant marketing campaign for server downtime. Like
Basically, yeah.
like when you connect these dots, you kind of go, "Damn, that's brilliant. That's really brilliant."
So what exactly is happening?
Okay, so the end of the last season, which I believe was 10, I think, season 10. Somebody can
Yes.
correct me in chat
Yep.
if I'm wrong. they had like the countdown essentially of when the season was ending, and they had these rockets pop up in the middle of the battlefield of what was happening. Like there was multiple, and like some giant thing came out of the sky, and I believe it hit the center of the map and punctured it and created a black hole, and then everything started flying into it, and then Fortnite was gone, and they said thanks for playing.
Yeah, and there's been people streaming for 24 hours, probably some even over 24 hours, just looking at the black hole, trying to figure out what is going on.
Oh, lovely. Oh, yeah. I'm in the Fortnite directory now, and I see a bunch of people just
Black holes.
staring.
Black
They're either
holes.
playing old clips or they're staring at a black hole.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is over 24 hours now, right? That this has been going
Yeah,
on?
I think when it first
Damn.
happened, people were like, "Oh, yeah, oh, ha ha ha!" Like an hour. Oh, ARG, cool.
Haha, silly Fortnite. I have my whole weekend to play. Come on now, come back. Come back now.
Come on, anytime now.
And the trailer for Chapter 2 was apparently leaked.
Yes.
Oh.
So that kind of gave people a little bit of a hint as to what's going to be going on in the new Fortnite world.
Yeah.
There's trash cans you can hide in.
Oh, trash bins.
Whoa, Metal Gear Solid.
Become the trash? This is amazing.
Revolutionary. But I think the thing that people did point out is normally when they talk about Fortnite and they're talking specifically about BR, it says Battle Royale on it.
Right.
Whereas this time it just
Okay.
said Fortnite, which I think is why people are saying that Save the World's gonna be incorporated.
Well, you also
I
you
hope
can't
so.
you
I
can't buy
like
it anymore
to save
either.
the world.
Same, Briar. Let's save the world.
Let's save the world, man. It was a fun game mode.
PvE thing, right? That was like the
Yes.
zombie.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Save the world is what started Fortnite, and it was incredibly
It is,
fun.
Yeah.
And then
It was an incredible failure, but it was fun.
That was the only Fortnite video I ever made. Before that,
Yeah?
I made a Save the World video. It was
so
great.
it's interesting. You say it was a failure, but actually that Save the World was really popular in the beginning. And then they hit this like mid-tier grind where clearly they didn't know what
It
they were
was
going to do with it.
Hardcore. Yeah.
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 Like, but the grind was so intense in that mid-level that it was clear that they were like, let's just make it extremely difficult to progress. And then I think Baru finally hit the last land, and it was the same land. They're like, okay. But then like 2 or 3 months later, Battle Royale happened and obviously exploded and took over the whole game. And a lot of people have been like, hey, Battle Royale is great and everything, but what about saving the world, man? I spent
Right. Well,
Yeah.
some people anyway. I don't know if you could call it a lot of people.
Yeah, it was probably a lot of people.
I'd say actually
Like
quite a
a-
few. Yeah.
What if they throw a massive curveball and every new season or like whatever it is, episode or chapter or whatever they're calling this new thing of Fortnite is a completely different type of game? Everyone's like, yo, I can't wait for Battle Royale Season 2. And they're like, psych, it's a racing game.
Yeah, it's a
Like
car
kart
racer.
racing for the next 10 seasons.
Oh, they
Buy
did.
your cards.
They did have pogo sticks in that trailer, so maybe it's
There
pogo
were
stick
pogo
racing.
sticks.
Pogo stick
Pogo
There
racing.
were
stick
pogo
racing.
sticks, and there were also the thing that goes on the water, jet skis.
Oh, I
Things
like
that go
jet
in the
skis.
water. Yeah, I like it.
You can control the
Well, maybe
pogo
that's
stick
just-
with your phone. You actually have to jump up and down and use the most
Yes.
control on your phone.
This is how they're gonna get kids to work out.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
but also it's in
True,
sponsorship
true.
with Apple and Samsung because if they break their phone, they have to go buy a new one. So they want,
Right.
they want
Perfect.
move those phones, hustle.
This is marketing right here. This is synergy.
Or maybe, right? They're gonna secretly, right? They're gonna turn it into just like a Minecraft, right? Where you just build the worlds. But really, what they're not telling you is the reason they're doing that is because they're just employing you as free level designers. So then for season
Oh.
3, they'll be like, "Well, these guys made some great maps. Welcome back."
Yeah,
But, uh-oh.
I'd be
Like,
okay
hold
with
on,
that
yes.
actually.
But people are saying that it's gonna come back on Tuesday.
Tuesday,
There,
really?
apparently there was a flyer that said from China that said it was on the 15th, which
It's
would
Tuesday.
be Tuesday. And then Ninja was like on Twitter, he said if I get 250,000 likes, I'll give you guys a hint, like a legit hint. And he said tacos.
Taco
Oh,
Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Wait, Taco Wednesday?
Taco Thursday.
Thursday?
Taco
That's not what it
Tuesday.
is.
Taco Way.
Is it Taco
We all
Monday?
learned this in grade school.
Well, I gotta say, this is a really brilliant marketing campaign because
It
again,
is. I don't care
Mm.
about Fortnite
right,
at all.
and we're talking about
And
it.
I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, it brought
What
in
they
a whole
doing
bunch of
over
people
there?
to see what type of mystery they're doing. And again, they could have just been like, we're going offline for this much time because we're gonna, there's a big season coming. We're gonna reshape things. But instead, they're like, let's make people think we deleted the game. Like,
That is pretty good.
that's because there's a certain number of kids right now that actually believe that Fortnite might actually be gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you are one of
Everybody's
those
trying to
Fortnite
reinstall the game.
children, you can go ahead and check out Destiny 2. It's free.
Yeah, it's free to play. Yeah. So
One of my kids actually is big into New Light right now.
yeah,
He's really enjoying it. So he's going
That's
to buy
good.
the full version of the game. It worked as intended.
so you weren't
Wow.
able
Nice.
to get him into it, but New Light was.
No. In fact, I think me being into it actively dissuaded him from coming anywhere near it.
Powerful disturbance between
This
actually
is
enjoying it.
clearly a dad game.
Yeah. Not cool.
Just the game with
In
his
fact, everything associated with it is now uncool as well. I'm sorry, by association, everybody on this podcast is uncool.
He's like,
I was so
Everybody-
close to being cool.
In chat, sorry, you're also uncool.
I like to think he's like, is that the game with like the dad rifle and the bottom tree dad striker
That's
and the one-eyed dad mask? Oh my gosh.
So, Fortnite, congratulations. You made
Yeah.
everyone talk about you, people who even really don't care.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Genius.
Do you guys want to talk about the PS5? Because we got specs on
Yes.
this thing, and I got to tell you,
Ooh,
I am
let's-
super excited about
Let's
this.
do it.
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, so we got like official PS5 kind of specs or details, kind of new stuff about what the PS5 is going to be. These come directly from Sony, Mark Cerny. He did, they spoke directly to the audience, and they also did a article in Wired about it. So we know a lot about this thing. It's going to have an 8-core AMD chipset that is based on the 3rd generation Ryzen. So this is actually like the brand new version of what everybody's excited about in the PC realm. Sony's getting that in there, in the PS5,
Yeah.
which is really exciting.
That's great.
8 cores too. It's also going to have a Radeon Navi GPU with hardware ray tracing. So
Mm.
this is cool, not just for PS5 gamers. This is cool for everybody
Yep.
because this, once PS5 and Xbox get ray tracing, this is going to expand support for ray tracing across the board,
Yeah.
right? Because now if you build it for one platform, it's going to work everywhere, and that's really neat.
Yeah. Like that's one of the biggest things about development in games is that a lot of the times games are developed with the specs of console, and then when they can fit other things in for PC, they will. But it's usually not cost effective because the markets tends to be smaller on the PC side. That is kind of changing nowadays, but still,
Yeah.
that's still a concern for them. So the fact that these consoles are going to embrace a lot of that like cutting edge PC technology is just great across the board. That means games are going to look better. They're going to play better. They're going to have more AI/game learning type of things built into them at the core level. It's going to be great.
What I think is actually could be more revolutionary for video games as a whole is that it's going to have an SSD storage system. In fact, they're claiming that the SSD system that's in the PS5 is 19 times faster than a traditional SSD, which I assume means that they're talking about transfer speeds like with NVMe, M.2, like something along those lines, because 19 times faster than a traditional SSD is that's fast.
Because I believe architecture wise, now I'm not an expert in this area, but I've read some of the stuff. I believe with the M.2 type of things is the PCI bus is connected to the actual memory, right?
So the CPU, I think.
Well, the CPU and the memory. So like there's a connection
Okay.
right there. So like the actual channels for them to get in and out of the memory lanes for the CPU to actually process the data is like cleared away, and a super highway is put in between them essentially.
Right, okay.
So they don't have to go to like they don't have to go to the hard drive essentially in the previous ways that it gets really slow. It's like literally a pipe that's back and forth to the memory lanes.
So what's interesting about this is, of course, your games will load faster, which is awesome, right? It's like you won't just be sitting there waiting for games to load. But I think what's really cool about it is something that's been mentioned by Microsoft and Sony is that if you know for a fact what the speed of the storage is, then you can rely on that. So you can
Yep.
have, world streaming, or, like one of the examples used was in Spider-Man. You never have a loading screen in Spider-Man because they could stream the world so fast off of the SSD into memory that you'd never have to have a loading screen again.
Mhm.
If the game knows for a fact that there's high speed storage, then and they can rely on that, they can design the game world and levels around that, which is cool.
Yeah. It enhances the experience.
Yeah, for sure. There's also going to be, they're claiming, or they're shooting for backwards compatibility with PS4 games and the PSVR hardware. They still say they're working on it. It's not a final yet, but I mean, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
It'd be great if they do something like what Microsoft's been doing, where if you put a Xbox 360 game on a Xbox One, it actually upgrades it. In certain circumstances,
Right?
Oh, really?
The upres and all that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
which would be really nice because the PS5 is going to support 8K TVs.
Oh, nice. 8K. Great.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'll finally get a 4K TV.
Can we get 17K but at 20 FPS? I'll take it.
I'll be honest. On computer monitors, I'm kind of cool with 4K as far as like a computer monitor that I'm doing like content creation on, because it's it's nice to have that super good resolution. For gaming, I don't get any enjoyment out of 4K. In fact, like I think that 1440 is kind of the sweet spot.
A lot of people say
and
that.
even 1080p with a high resolution, I think is better than 4K. With video content, I mean, it's nowhere near what it was, the jump from standard definition to 1080p
Right.
was.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like it's not even close to that kind of a jump to 4K. So going 4K to 8K, I'm going to guess that.
You can get closer to the screen and not see pixels.
I guess like what is this really going to be usable for? And like, is anybody going to want it? It's going to be like 3D TVs where it's just like,
It's like, hey,
every
It's
TV
like
comes with it,
it's-
but nobody actually uses it.
Yeah, it's just like age for people to adapt. I mean, even now, I mean, there are a lot more people using 4K, but even now, there's like still, if you kind of, I mean, I'd love to see the stats for like how many people have actually adopted 4K yet. I mean, I still sit here with 1080 monitors. Like I'm just like, I feel like a lot of people, it'll take them. I mean, it's cool that they're future proofing it, but I feel like it's going to be a good like 2-3 years before people start adopting 8K, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even like for video content, how are you going to get 8K video content? I mean,
I hate working in 4K as it is, let alone 8K. I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah,
Like, anytime someone
exactly.
sends me a 4K file, I'm like,
Yowzers.
no, thank you. Get out of here.
Exactly. The actual bandwidth that's still required for 4K content, like true 4K content that's not heavily compressed, is like it's just the networks aren't there yet to support that as like a standard.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people's internet can't deal with 4K streaming stuff either.
Yeah.
It's just they just can't.
Yeah, actually, there's two sides of it. now that I think
Netflix
about it.
recommends like 25 megabits down, right, to get 4K.
Yeah, and it's not like they have a heavily compressed codec as well. So again, to get that true 4K,
And 25 is actually quite a lot for a lot of people. A lot of people are looking at 5 at the most.
yeah, if you have multiple Netflix accounts going in the house, and let's say they're doing 4K, then that starts adding up really quick. But on top of that, though, it's not just the bandwidth involved, but it's also the processing to decode the 4K to not have it skip or drop frames and all that, or be jittery. Right. So a lot of systems, if they're not built directly for that, can have issues as well. So there's a lot of catch up still that's happening, and now they're talking about 8K, and it's like, it's you jumping the gun.
I remember for those. My father was one of the first people I knew who got a 4K TV, and to get content in 4K when he got it, you actually had to buy a Sony server that you put in your house, connected to the internet. It was like this round computer, and you had to buy movies on it, and it would download the movies onto the server, and that was the only way you could play 4K at the time. This is like early days of 4K. And it was like, I remember going over there and be like, this TV looks amazing, but fuck this whole server thing.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. No thanks.
The PS5 will have 4K Blu-ray, a 4K Blu-ray player.
That's nice.
With 100 gigabyte discs. gigabyte, not gigabit, gigabyte discs.
So I can watch my anime movies in glorious 4K.
Yes.
Yeah. If you've never watched 4K off a Blu-ray, a 4K Blu-ray, it looks significantly better than Netflix 4K or Prime Video or YouTube 4K. It's like way better.
Yep.
So that's actually a really nice feature. Games will allow partial install. So start doing the math here. Anybody who's ever bought an SSD knows that it's way more expensive to get, you know, a lot of storage on an SSD than it is to get, you know, spinning discs. If the consoles are moving over to SSDs, and we're talking games that have 100 gigabyte discs, and the games need to be installed, it's going to be mandatory to install the games. It doesn't take much mental gymnastics to figure out we're going to have an issue with storage space here, right off the bat.
You're going to have like your top 5 or 6 games, and then the rest are going to be like juggles because 2 terabytes expensive. 1 terabyte is relatively affordable right now, and I'm assuming they're going to be doing a terabyte.
1 terabyte, like if you don't go like premium brand, I think is around like $60 or $70, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking like the M2s, the NV. You know, like they end up.
Yeah, that's going to be more.
They end up being about.
They are buying like bulk, not like at Best Buy or Micro Center.
Yeah, for sure. But as soon as you jump that up to 2 terabyte, it's like the cost quadruples.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the case of you complete a game, you delete the game. you can't just have stuff sitting on your hard drive.
Which, I mean, if you bought the disc, it might be okay. But if you're downloading, we know that PlayStation's network sucks for downloading.
It takes so long to copying.
Yeah.
Never stops copying.
So side anecdote on that, I thought that their network was terrible before, and I was on Comcast. And then I switched to a different provider that has nothing to do with Comcast and isn't a big boy provider either. It's more of a let's get your business going type of provider. And my download speeds off of Sony are super fast. So I'm pretty sure Comcast and Time Warner and all these places that are big throttle the Sony network.
That could be.
My download isn't bad. It's just the copying that takes. The copying will take like 5 times as long as the download.
Yeah.
But I have Frontier.
I think the copying has to do with the fact that it's actually decompressing all those files. So it's using a super old CPU to do a lot of complex decompression. You know, and like
and it's reading off a slow ass hard drive.
Yeah, slow hard drive.
Slow hard drive.
Old CPU decompressing a very a high compression algorithm because like Destiny 2 on Steam took about 30 minutes to decompress for me, and I'm on a i7 7700K.
Good Lord.
Yep.
That thing's ancient.
I know.
You find that in a museum somewhere? The games will allow partial installs. So for instance, if you are a big Call of Duty fan, let's say, and you don't play the campaign at all, you can just install the multiplayer portion of Call of Duty, right?
Right.
Or like, let's say you like Last of Us, but you don't care about the multiplayer version. You can just install the version that has single player. Although I don't think they're doing multiplayer for Last of Us 2.
And people are pissed.
Of course they are. Everybody's got to be pissed about something.
Exactly.
It's the internet.
Completely arbitrary like that.
I'm permanently angry.
Perma mad on the internet.
Yep.
The thing is about that is I don't know if that'll actually make that much of a difference because when you look at like the multiplayer and the single player of games, like a lot of the assets are shared anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like
there's a lot of movies though that they can cut. You know, like cut scenes.
Yeah, I guess if you're getting rid of the single player, yeah,
that's
like
stuff
for
takes
Call
up
of Duty
quite a bit.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's pretty interesting, I think. There's going to be a new UI. I'm going to actually read Mark Cerny's quote on this one. Even though it will be fairly fast to boot games, we don't want the player to have to boot the game to see what's up. Boot the game, see what's up. I did that to part twice.
Does it play a trailer like Netflix? You hover over the game and it's like, here's some gameplay.
I think so, actually.
Interesting.
Really? Oh, I was kidding.
Multiplayer game servers will provide the console with the set of joinable activities in real time. Single player games will provide information like what mission you can do and what rewards you might receive for completing them. All of those choices will be visible in the UI as a player you just jump right into whatever you like.
Interesting.
That sounds really cool.
It does sound pretty cool. So it does kind of sound like that, Watch. Is that you kind of hover over the single player, might show you like kind of where you are in the game, and plus what you can get, like what your next reward is in Destiny for like completing a quest or something.
Pretty helpful for
I'll be
a
interested
lot
to
of
see how it actually works. Because I feel like maybe not in this exact way, but I feel like we've heard things like this before. Those sort of like join straight away, kind of like those sort of like auto join. I could have sworn Xbox did something like that before, where it's like a dive straight into the game with your friends. But in reality, like you go through a menu, a loading screen, another menu, then you're finally in, and then you actually get a disconnect message, so you're actually out back again, and you're like, well. So if it actually like if it's cool and seamless, like the idea is great. Like being able to be like, oh yo, my friends are already in the middle of a strike and there's only 2 of them. Like let me dive straight in. That would be cool. And I mean, obviously with faster like load time stuff, maybe that is possible. I mean, I know like PlayStation already has that resume state. Like you just turn the game off and you're already back in the game. So
yeah.
But I definitely want to sort of see it because they do love to sort of say these like crazy little ideal situations.
Yeah. I also never ever just turn on my PlayStation. I never think I'm gonna play some PlayStation right now. I think, what game am I gonna play? It's gonna be Bloodborne. I go to my PlayStation, I turn it on and play Bloodborne.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't browse through the menu of available activities and say, what do I feel like doing in here? You know?
Yeah. Like it. True. That's also how I feel about the in addition to that, it's how I feel about the speed of the hard drive and what they're talking about, like not streaming and all that. I'm like, yeah, this is fancy ways to say that the load times are going to be quicker, but like I'm expecting there to still be load times.
Yeah.
Like,
because people are
load times on PC.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. It's not going to be faster than PC right now.
And the thing is, even if it's like faster than PC, like based on current games, it just means developers are like, well, now we can make our games even bigger. And they're like, oh wait, now we got new load times.
Yeah. More assets. Oh, you're going 8K. Guess what? Those assets are 4 times bigger now.
Yeah. Not going to be faster than PC. There is they could be using PCIe 5.
Okay.
Theoretically, because 3rd gen Ryzen does support it on the PC side too.
I guess by the time next year comes out, there's going to be PCs that are on par or better with those standards. You know what I mean?
Well, there are now, but it's only like a very small selection that supports PCIe 5.
Yeah, and I don't think that's eliminating load times on everything. You know what I mean?
No, it definitely doesn't.
Yeah.
But they're a lot quicker.
Yeah. But it seems like the developers might have to actually do some direct support to make that even remotely a reality. And like it just makes me wonder how many games are actually supporting this, like this PlayStation never have a load time protocol versus, well, it's a pain in the ass, let's use the normal way where everything gets supported.
Well, I think the difference is that because a game is, let's say you build a game that you want to have on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. You can't design the whole game around everybody having a super fast storage.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, but you can with the PS5, the Xbox, whatever they're going to call it, and future PCs, which you'll see in minimum requirements for a PC game is SSD or like a minimum transfer speed on an SSD.
Right.
And with the game now knowing that everybody who plays this game is going to meet that standard, then suddenly they can do the predictive loading and stuff like that, where you load into the game the first time and then you never see a load screen again. There are already games that do that.
Yeah. God of War did a really good job with that.
Yeah. They say they're going to have advanced 3D sound, which people are expecting is going to be Dolby Atmos, but maybe the ink isn't dry on that paperwork yet. But Dolby Atmos would be a nice upgrade over the PS4. They're still going to support remote play, so you can play PlayStation 5 games on any device that supports remote play, like iPads, computers, PS Vitas.
The Vita.
When the PS5 was going to be a new Vita.
It's gonna be available in holiday 2020. And one of the cool things about the controllers. They're not going to have rumble. They're going to have haptic feedback.
Does it tickle me? Is it creamy? Creamy tickle?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
Creamy haptic?
Haptic feedback on a controller could mean a lot of different things, right? Like, are the sticks going to push back? Like, if you're on a racing game, and like it's hard to turn? Are the sticks going to push back?
So the impression that I got from reading the article was that it's a very advanced rumble pack type of thing. Like, you know,
Okay.
I just got a new iPhone 11 and they have upgraded haptic, you know, feedback responses with all the ways that they can like give
Which controllers have.
Yeah, they give you like this different senses of different vibrations and all that. And apparently it seems to be it's going to be very high resolution type of feel. So if something's sliding on ice, it can simulate the feel of that type of vibration. If something is going over, you know, gravel, you can have that. If something is giving like a nice smooth feel, like again, that's what they're saying is that it's going to have those type of abilities, which is nice. You know, it's just I usually turn off Rumble, but that's because Rumble is usually aggressive, and they noted that in the article too that people turn off the Rumble stuff because it was just too much, and this is going to have a very granular, fine degree of control, so they can really give you different feels. Like if you're on a smooth road and then suddenly you're feeling the gravel on the side with the car, you know.
So if I look at a one-eye mask Titan, will the controller scream at me?
It's going to vibrate in violence.
It might puke. It'll puke. It's going to puke.
So you're going to turn off your PS5. Nope. It will have adaptive feedback on the triggers. So it'll be harder to press in the triggers, you know, based on what the game wants to do. Like one of the examples was like your left and right trigger. Your left trigger is your brake and your right trigger is your gas. It might be harder to push in the brake than it is the gas in racing games.
That's
or
cool.
you can have like for a shooter, you can have different guns have a different like trigger point. So you can actually feel when the gun fires in the trigger, and that can be different for each gun in a game.
That's really cool.
That would be if they use that would be really cool. If you could actually feel the difference in a gun in your controller, that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So that's it. That's, you know, like the bulk of the information that's coming. There's a lot of speculation that we can do for the next year. But I mean, it's only a year away till the PlayStation 5, and I'm really excited about it. You know,
I'm excited that if we get powerful consoles that can do, you know, 60 FPS and can have the field of view sliders and stuff, that we could actually be looking at crossplay for most, if not all games.
Legitimate crossplay. Yep.
True.
Yeah, that'd be really nice.
I would love that so much.
Yep.
You know, and Sony has such great development studios under their wing that giving those guys more power for their next generations of games, like they have so many good studios. Like I can't wait for the next God of War game. The Last of Us, you know, it's coming for PlayStation. Yep. You know, there's the next Spider-Man game. You know, like they've been killing it during the PlayStation 4's generation, and giving those guys more power and more access to graphical fidelity. Can't wait.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Well, I hope. I expect.
Should, right? Yeah.
Good times expecting.
Yeah, and again with the crossplay stuff, you know, Destiny has historically been 30 FPS for its entire lifetime on console. Will they finally break that? So we can finally.
Well, that's up to the developers, right? I mean, you can choose to use all that power for high fidelity 30 FPS, or you can lower the fidelity and target 60. But
well, in Destiny's case, it came down to physics. Like how many calculations were going on the battlefield. In order to make that consistent, they had to reduce it to 30.
Yeah.
It wasn't because they've said in interviews that they've got plenty of GPU power left under the hood, but the CPU just isn't cutting it for calculations. So having a modern CPU at the helm for these games is going to make a huge difference. And if we still don't have 60 FPS, then we're going to be like, what?
I think we just throw away our consoles. Well, no, I need them for PlayStation exclusive games.
Yeah. Bloodborne 2.
We're fine.
Elden Ring. Okay.
Bloodborne 2 would be amazing, or some sort of Bloodborne.
It's never happening.
I know it's not happening, but
Are you kidding me? There's too much money on the table for that not to ever happen.
I don't think that's ever been the thing for FromSoft. You know?
Yeah. They seem to just be like, we like making these games that we like making. Here's a game. Do you like it? Cool. You don't? I don't care.
Yeah.
It's too difficult.
I don't care.
Even if you're not a PlayStation gamer, having like the base level of video games raise up, it's like you're gonna see marvelous things
100%.
in PC as well, because all that work that they do to make all the 4K graphics for the PlayStation and the next version of the Xbox, that's just going to improve your experience on a PC as well. And all the work they do to optimize games for SSDs, of course, you're going to see that transfer over to PCs as well. So it's like just the minimum requirements of everything is going to go up. If you have an old shitty PC, though, look out.
Like mine.
They're coming for you.
Like my 7700K.
Like Tefty's a relic over there.
I mean, a 1080 Ti. Holy crap! Does that thing even make?
Whoa.
Does it even play Pong?
Right.
You got to use it as a coaster for your mug now, right?
Oh man.
Well, I think I do hope though. Like, I don't think they're going to do it too much, but I've never been a fan of the PlayStation controller, right? I've always liked. The best controller is the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, shortly followed by the Xbox controller, right? I really hope, and I know they're not going to do it, but I really hope they actually change the form factor on the controller this time around. I mean, I feel like they're probably still going to try and keep the familiar DualShock, but like, I don't know. I mean, clearly people do like it, but I don't know why people like the same position lower analog sticks. They're just uncomfortable. Like,
I don't have a problem with that so much. It's just the shape of like the
shape is weird. Yeah.
That like the impact controller that we get from Scuf is just, it's so much more comfortable that like it doesn't, the sticks don't bother me at all.
Fair.
Yeah.
But you're right. The Switch controller is dope. Like, it is
so
my
good,
favorite
right?
controller. I was using it today, and I had kind of forgotten because I've been using the Switch in portable mode almost exclusively.
Yeah.
But I started playing a game called Sayonara Wild Hearts, and I'm like, this visually and auditorily,
Audible. Save
audibly,
5%. And we're not sponsored by Audible.
the visuals and the sound of this game are such that I immediately said, "Oh no, I can't play this in portable mode." So I plugged it into the TV, and I fired up the surround sound system, and I got into this game in a big way.
Tell me about the game. What is it? What does it do? Oh no.
All right, so the whole reason, the whole time I'm playing this game only lasts about, I want to say, an hour and a half to 2 hours, like start to finish. It costs about $13. You can buy it for PS4, Switch, or Apple Arcade. I believe it's a free game on Apple Arcade.
Okay.
Service. You got to pay for the Apple Arcade service, but it's it's one of those games that's included in there. The whole time I'm playing it, I'm thinking, how am I going to explain this game? I don't have words. I don't have words that explain this. Like, it's kind of like almost Guitar Hero-ish, where like the world is streaming at you. If you've ever played Thumper, a lot of it's going to look a little bit like that. It's res-like in a way that your actions sync up to music in a lot of ways. I'm going to read their description of the game.
Yes.
But it's not going to help that much.
Okay.
Sounds like you need to be high while playing this game.
Wouldn't hurt. A pop album video game. Sayonara Wild Hearts is a dreamy arcade game about riding motorcycles, skateboarding, dance battling, shooting lasers, wielding swords, and breaking hearts at 200 miles per hour.
That sounds amazing.
Does that help?
It's amazing. The trailer. It looks really cool. It's got a very cool visual style.
Looking at the trailer.
Oh yeah, it's totally got that like synthwave kind of look to it with the purple and the neon and like the like the neon purple and the neon blue on black backgrounds. Stylistically, it looks awesome. It sounds great. Like the music just matches what you're doing in the game so well. You really want to crank it up. It's not super. It starts off really easy. As you progress, again, it's like 2-hour experience. As you progress, it gets a little bit harder, but it always gives you an option where if you fail at like the same thing like 5 times in a row, it just says, "Hey, you want to skip this part because we're supposed to be having fun here." And you can. You just skip by it. And you're like, fuck that part, and we're gonna keep going because it gets a little. Some of the parts could be a little difficult. Like there's one part where you're fighting 2 different people, and you switch between their like different worlds. So you're on the same track, but like with every beat in the music, you switch between like a track that has blocks like in one spot and a track that has blocks in different spots. So you kind of got to remember both tracks, like the opposite track, because you got to position your character on this kind of like ramp. It's crazy. It looks fun. It looks cool as hell. It's it's $13 for a couple hours of a really cool experience. Definitely, I would say definitely do it on PlayStation 4 or Switch on a TV. I don't think it's a great mobile experience because it just is taking too much away to play it on a little tiny screen.
Yeah.
But if you do play it on a small screen, definitely plug in some earphones because I like the Nintendo Switch, but it's got failings. And one of the failings is the speakers on that thing are god awful. Like they're just the worst. Like a cell phone has like twice as good speakers as a Nintendo Switch does. And I started hearing the music coming out of the Nintendo Switch, and I'm looking at the screen. I'm like, no, this ain't doing this justice. I can tell already. So I just plugged it into the TV and started going. And I just sat there transfixed for 2 hours. I beat the game start to finish today.
Wow.
Nice.
Kind of want to check it out.
Outstanding.
Just have some downtime where you're just like alone and just kind of zone out to a really cool experience.
Yeah, it's super chill. Like you're not gonna get frustrated playing this game. It's not that type of thing. It's really just they call it a pop album video game, and I think that really it does it justice.
Cool.
You know,
That sounds really cool. Yeah,
Cool.
might save that for one of my evenings.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Creamy evenings.
It's a creamy game.
Let's do a very good job of that. We got to get back on the cream train.
Get back on
The cream train, man. The cream train.
Oh, dear.
That's great.
What do you guys want to talk about next? We still want to talk about Blizzard. We still want to talk about Disney.
We should talk
Disney.
about Blizzard.
Do you want? Yeah, let's end on a happy note with Disney.
Okay.
I like it, Watts. Good idea.
So I'm sure lots of people know what happened. Basically, if you don't know, there was a Hearthstone tournament where a player was playing Hearthstone. He won the tournament. And when you win, you get to do this kind of post-game interview. And in the interview, he had a gas mask on and he said, "Free Hong Kong," all kind of just protesting in favor of Hong Kong. Because right now there's lots of protests going on for people wanting democracy, basically. And this resulted in Blizzard banning him for a year from competing, taking away all of his prize money, firing the casters who were there during him saying this. And people were outraged because all of this came from someone just using their platform and using their free speech.
Yeah.
So people were very upset about this because they saw it as Blizzard kind of bending to China's will and not wanting to upset China because of what was said. And of course, Blizzard is an American company. It is partially owned by a Chinese company, but it's only 5%. But this is an American company that came down really hard on someone using their free speech. So people have been boycotting. They've been getting rid of their WoW subscriptions. There's even been people who work at Blizzard. They covered up one of the kind of slogans that Blizzard uses in their campus because it's something about having free speech for everyone and everyone's voice matters. And they covered it up with paper. So they were like, clearly that's not true. There were people...
Really?
Blizzard employees were protesting, and even someone who was responsible for creating WoW, and one of the people who were responsible for getting classic WoW back, he was like, "I'm not playing this anymore. I can't."
That's crazy.
So it's been a big deal.
It is a big deal. It's it's hard as a consumer, especially I think an American who takes pride in freedom. Like you just kind of can. It's such a rallying cry. What the Hong Kong protesters are protesting for is, freedom from, oppression. What started it all in Hong Kong was there was a bill introduced that would allow for extradition to China, right? So if China didn't like something you're saying, they could get you into China from Hong Kong, and that's super scary, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the things that the protesters are, protesting for are, basic human rights. And to see a company just not allow for speech like that on a stage, an American company, it just seems so ass backward. But once you start thinking about it, I feel like, oh, this starts making more sense what they did.
Exactly. Yeah, like if they're going down a financial track, then you clearly see why they're doing this, because they don't want to lose the Chinese market, which is vastly bigger than the American market, and they already have part of their, what is it, like 5% or 10%, Tencent owns of Blizzard.
Right. So it turns out, to do business in China, which Blizzard obviously wants to do, there is a requirement that you have to have partial Chinese ownership of your company. And that's what Blizzard has done, is they've allowed Tencent to buy a little less than 5% of Blizzard. And, with that came a large investment of money, and that allowed them to do business in China, which, includes Overwatch tournaments, selling video games in China. Also, Hearthstone, obviously.
StarCraft has been a huge,
all of that.
Huge market in there.
Yep.
Like
StarCraft.
Yeah, like they have a lot of huge sport type of stuff going on there, and you clearly see why they don't want any repercussions with China, because they're making so much money or have so much potential growth from China. So they see somebody protesting with their platform, and they're like, shut it down, everybody, anybody's related to this, kick out the casters, suspend the player, all that stuff. It's really crazy to see how scared they are of the repercussions from China.
One of the stats I heard was that when Overwatch is broadcasting to the Western world, there's around 2 million people watching. When they're broadcasting in China, there's 47 million.
Wow. Oh, it's nuts. I mean, even if you just look at live streamers in China, they are daily live streaming to tens of millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Like, people are moving to China to be streamers because it's absolutely insane.
There are 500 million gamers in China.
Yes.
That was 2017,
as of
right?
2017. Yeah, as of 2017.
That's a massive market.
Yeah,
absolutely massive.
So, yeah. So look.
I was just.
Yeah, go for it.
I was just gonna say about when this all happened, the kind of statement that they put out on the American Blizzard account. They were very neutral and were kind of just like, yeah, we want to keep it about the game and we don't want politics involved. And then on the Chinese one, there's been a few translations, so this might not be 100% correct, but it was within the same kind of vein. This translation said, "We are very angered and disappointed at what happened at the event last weekend and highly object the expression of personal political beliefs at any of our events. As always, we will defend the pride and dignity of China at all costs."
At all costs.
Of course, some of that might not be correct. There's I think maybe 3 or so translations, but it's all along the same kind of vein of we don't want personal beliefs at our events and we have honor in China, kind of.
This to me is so clear cut. Of Blizzard says, well, we want the China dollar, and that's more important to us than human dignity and human rights. I don't see it any other way.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, just go show the way that they react as well. I mean, none of it is right at all. But I mean, even the fact that the people that just interviewed him,
yes.
The fact that they were kicking out as well. Apparently, one of the articles I said, I read, it was sort of said something along the lines of they didn't even want to be interviewing him because I think they saw where it was going. And to be, it's like the whole thing is just rubbish. But to basically punish people that were just there because it's their job to speak to the guy, that's just. You can definitely sort of see how they're just anyone and everything associated with this cut out.
Well, it seems like a knee-jerk reaction of fear from what the relationship with China is going to be. They're terrified of marring that relationship even remotely, so they want to rip all that stuff out of it for any sentiment that says any kind of anti-China sentiment because of the Hong Kong situation. That's scary. Honestly, it
is very scary. It is super scary, especially when you think about Riot Games, 100% owned by China. There's Epic that was, I can't remember their percentage, but they have a very large percentage that is owned by a Chinese company.
40%.
40%. So they're basically every company probably has some type of China ownership, just because of the way that's how you do business in China is by having.
If you want to do business in China, you have to succumb.
It's crazy.
And Blizzard, of course, saw the feedback that everyone gave. And they put out a very long statement going into detail, but I just want to read the final part because they finally get down to it instead of giving us a bunch of PR fluff. They basically went back and instead of banning the winner of that Hearthstone tournament for a year, they're banning him for 6 months and then he can come back. And they said that the reason they did that is because there has to be a consequence for taking the conversation away from the purpose of the event and disrupting or derailing the broadcast. And they did the same thing with the casters. They are also suspended for 6 months. And what they said as the reason for dealing with the casters, they said that remember their purpose is to keep the event focused on the tournament. That didn't happen here. What do you want them to do? It's be like, shut up.
This is very much throwing them underneath the bus.
It completely is.
Did they return his winnings?
Yes, they did.
They did, yes. Yeah, they
Right.
did. So they said that the reason that all of this happened is nothing to do with China, nothing to do with upsetting like the Chinese government. They said
Once
that
again.
they have they have rules to ensure our official broadcasts remain focused on the game and are not a platform for divisive social or political views. One of our goals at Blizzard is to make sure that every player everywhere in the world, regardless of political views, religious beliefs, race, gender, or any other consideration, always feels safe and welcome both competing in and playing our games. So
Unless you're in China.
Yeah.
they said that
Unless you're wearing a
don't
Winnie the Pooh
offend-
costume.
They don't want to offend any Chinese people. So that's
Those specific Chinese people, the ones in charge.
yeah.
You don't want to offend the shareholders.
That's crazy. I mean, because like it's just
Yeah.
a couple steps away from, a government saying, you're clearly a problem and we're going to kill you. And then the company being like, well, yeah, I guess you should have been doing that stuff. What can we do?
Yep.
This is happening in the NBA right now too. One of the owners of the NBA, made some anti-Chinese remarks, and the NBA is trying to make big inroads into China as well. They actually are playing preseason games in China against Chinese teams, and it created such a huge uproar. The NBA is facing serious kickback from.
Yeah. So basically what happened there is there was a tweet, something about, I think it was literally just said free Hong Kong or like something like that. And it was I think it was the Rocket owner of the Rockets who did that. And the Rockets is the largest NBA team in China because of course there was that very famous Chinese player that came from China to play for the Rockets. So Rockets are huge and they're like, no more Rockets. Rockets are over. There are no more Rocket. There are 31 teams, now 32. Rockets, get out of here.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So this isn't just a gaming thing. This is, really business wide. Apple's in a lot of trouble right now for doing similar things where they actually deleted a couple of apps that Hong Kong protesters were using to stay away from police and to organize.
Mm-hmm.
It's big. It's what you would expect a corporation to do is to, corporations don't care about people, right? We know that. That's not what corporations are designed to do. Corporations are designed to make money. They're designed to make more money this year. Capitalist corporations are designed to make more money this year than they did last year. That's their primary directive. And they're going to have to do what they have to do that to make stockholders happy. And in this case, they are clearly putting profits ahead of human rights, and that fucking sucks. And you have a choice right now where your dollar goes. Are you going to give a company who is, prioritizing profits over human rights your money? I'm going to make a decision not to, personally, and I'm really happy. That as a Destiny content creator, that Bungie got the fuck out of there
Seriously.
a month ago.
That timing, though, right?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what I would do. Like, honestly, as a content creator, like, I feel bad for anybody who covers WoW or Hearthstone or like, because right now I'd be really struggling, like, because that's a livelihood. That's your personal livelihood. Is you make money covering these games and playing these games. So are you willing to give up your livelihood because Blizzard is acting scummy?
Thing is, it's a difficult thing as well because it's like, I mean, it's one of those things where like from a content point of view, because like Blizzard obviously being the overarching thing, obviously you don't want to support them in any way, shape, or form. But it's difficult because obviously all the people that genuinely work hard to create fantastic games, that are just like the employees there, they ultimately end up suffering, right? Because like obviously from what you're saying, it's fair to say like you want to vote with your wallet and be like, I'm not going to support Blizzard anymore. That's completely cool. But then the difficult factor is obviously by then not supporting them. If every person suddenly does it, then the people that genuinely work hard at the company that have no say in this, and they're just trying to make really good games, they also suffer, right? Because suddenly they're like, well, everyone's leaving our games because literally some guy in a shareholders room wearing a suit was like, I don't want to anger China. So I always find it's a really difficult position when you're to raise, to exactly your question point there. It's like, you obviously want to vote in the right way, but you also forget that goes multiple layers deep, and it's hard, right?
And then, Blizzard is one of those companies that, people came to. They wanted to be employed by a company that, made great products and had a positive outlook on the world and did good things. And imagine you are a Blizzard employee right now and you have to deal with this internally. Like that's got to be mind crushing.
Yeah.
Because, if you don't support what they've done personally, but you still got to show up to work every day so you can feed your family. I mean, I know I'd be looking for another place to work right now.
Right. It's a huge moral conundrum across the board on that.
Yeah.
We actually got an email from somebody about this.
China?
And I thought it was a really interesting
got an email from China.
So I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna kind of read the highlights of it really quick. It's from Gyro Slice, and he says, I have 3 boys who have been eagerly awaiting the release of Overwatch on the Switch. We've been counting the weeks since the announcement. 2 of them want to dress as Overwatch characters for Halloween. Needless to say, our Overwatch is a big deal in our house. However, with Blizzard's current stance with China as the people of Hong Kong, this puts me in a difficult parental position. I would like to have the shared gaming experience with them, but also don't want to support Blizzard until they change their stance. I could use this as a learning experience, but 2 of them are only 8, so I worry that the lesson is going to be lost. What's a gamer dad to do? I totally feel for him. Like, telling your kid you can't have a video game that you've been looking forward to for months because, the company doesn't support freedom. It's like kind of a difficult conversation to have with an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
And that's sort of difficult because the same kind of thing is like the discussions. Like I remember having this like earlier in the year, like when I was covering Anthem, right? Because like when the game first came out, like I was genuinely having a great time with it. It's a shame that it obviously ended up going very downhill. But then after a while, when people started to sort of, because like for me, the Anthem journey was for like about a month, like after the first few weeks, people started to realize they weren't enjoying it, and then they were like suddenly starting to get angry at EA for it. But then there was still like a couple more weeks of like good fun in it before it started to really run out. And like, during that period, everyone was suddenly starting to get really angry, like, why are you supporting EA? It's like the difficulty is like although passively you might be supporting them because obviously you're creating content, you're doing stuff. Like ultimately, the core reason for doing it just comes from like just pure enjoyment. Like the game was fun, I played the game, right? So to actually that same situation with the Overwatch thing, it's like it's difficult because for the kids, like they have no concept of that, and like they just want to enjoy a fun game and they've been looking forward to it, right? And the other thing is like you need to think to yourself as well who like in the grand scheme of things are really gonna, like, a lot of people will say, oh yeah, I'm gonna vote with my wallet, but like, is that really going to be a big enough portion to actually make a dent, or is it going to be one of those kind of like vocal minorities online where a lot of people are still going to be like, I'm oblivious to this and I'm going to carry on playing my games? It's really difficult. It's really like to try and make those kind of changes.
What options do we have though? I mean, I can write an angry post on Twitter and I feel like that's going to do absolutely nothing. I can send them an email. Again, I feel like that's going to do nothing. But like, if a lot of people just stop paying their WoW subscriptions and stop buying Blizzard products, at least in the short term,
they get a repercussion, right?
Yeah, it's at least a slap on the wrist. I don't. Yeah. Again, it's like when you do the numbers, it's like clearly, they'd rather be in the Chinese market than the American market based on the amount of dollars involved.
They could just leave the American market completely and be A-okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
And, a lot of fans out there are going to be disappointed that the game would go away. But at the same time, if they're going to be anti-humanitarian rights, then
Yeah.
Good riddance.
And that's not a stance I want to support with my dollar.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's just straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really does come down to voting with your dollar. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish there was a way sort of like where people, because it's obviously, because these things are so interlinked, right? Obviously, that, you know, the management side of companies with obviously the people that work that actually produce the games, right? I really wish there was a way just to, because for some of those studios, they're obviously just Blizzard studios. I wish there was a way where you could like vote with your dollar without actually inherently affecting the people that work their ass off and crunch to like create amazing games. Like if it was one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, it's like Blizzard as a publisher and then this is the studio, and we're like, okay, cool, yeah, maybe the studio can go off and be bought by like another publisher. That'd be great. You're like, yeah, cool, then I'm definitely down to it. But it's just like, I mean, I guess my you know, because obviously we used to work in the industry for a while. I guess I would sort of think about it from two levels, like, because I just think to myself, oh yeah, if everyone suddenly starts voting with their dollars, it definitely like Blizzard should not be like given any slack, because what they've done is just horrendous. But yeah, if that ultimately ended up just boiling down, because you look at the way that all these companies do things when it comes to big, say, decisions, like people will be laid off, and then like all the senior people in their suits are just like they're living comfortable in their houses, and the people that work really hard suddenly get thrown to one side. And then if everyone suddenly starts doing this vote with their wallet, then I fear that what will actually happen is the seniors will be like, well, this game isn't performing well, you guys are out of a job, and we're going to sit here in our mansions. It's always the crappy way that things work out, right? It's difficult.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But yeah, as you say, we have no choice but to vote with our wallet, really.
So, yeah, it's really the only thing that we can do.
Yeah.
That they'll care about.
Yeah, that's money talks for those guys. That's the whole reason. Not values in this case.
Or maybe if we can get May banned in China, maybe that'll work.
That'd be hilarious. I love that. I love that. The response has been like, if you really want to hurt Blizzard, make May a symbol of the Hong Kong protest.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Yes, this is the best idea I've seen on the internet ever.
That would actually be hilarious.
That'd be amazing.
Okay.
Do we want to get happy?
Yeah, let's get happy.
Yeah, let's get happy.
Yeah.
Come on, get happy.
Happy. So Disney Plus revealed their list of every old movie, TV show, new movie, all the stuff that's going to be on Disney Plus. So I don't think I can read absolutely everything because it's pretty insane.
No, you're gonna have to read absolutely everything.
Okay, here we go. Movie.
Full list. Creamy, full list.
So there's on this article, they mentioned some of the more old school kind of obscure stuff that's going to be on there. So you have things like Sammy the Way Out Seal from 1962.
Okay.
Whoa, not Sammy.
That sounds creepy as hell.
The Computer War Tennis Shoes. Hell yeah. It's from 1969.
War tennis shoes.
Yes.
Okay.
Justin Morgan Had a Horse from 1972.
Hell yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo. Fudge, yeah.
The Monte Carlo.
Whoa.
Man, I forgot about those Herbie movies. Those used to be popular. There's a ton of those too.
Mr. Boogedy. You want to get some?
Mr. Boogedy.
Fuzz Bucket, which sounds like a word I'd say if I'm trying to curse, but
that was my nickname in college.
Old Fuzz Bucket.
They're Barefoot exclusive.
Okay.
We all know that. The $1 Million Duck. Great if you've been into Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah, $1 Million Duck.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
I can't wait to play that.
The Castaway Cowboy, The Strongest Man in the World, 3 Men and a Little Lady, which could go really wrong. Iron Will. Going to more things that you might actually
Boy,
know.
that title really has a different connotation these days, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Really does. But to movies you might know, there's things like 101 Dalmatians, A Bug's Life, Goofy Movie, Bambi, Big Hero 6, Fantasia, Finding Dory, Finding Nemo, Hercules, High School Musical, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So you have a lot of kind of old school stuff and more newer school stuff. Of course, this also comes with all of the Star Wars movies. So you get to watch all the Star Wars movies on there. You can do a full binge session through that. Lady and the Tramp, The Incredibles, The Good Dinosaur, Little Mermaid, Princess Diaries, The Rocketeer, Toy Story. So all the kind of Disney movies that you would expect. We're going to skip over the one called Finding China. And we're going to go to television series. So you might think Disney, like, oh, I'm going to get like what? DuckTales or something.
Yeah,
or,
no, there's some cool new stuff coming.
there's some really cool stuff, and there's even stuff like Amazing Planet, and there's like Dog Whisper with Caesar Milan. I didn't think I'd get that on Disney Plus.
Wow.
Nope.
Boy Meets World, Dr. K's Exotic Animals, Drain the Ocean, DuckTales, Earth Live, Goof Troop, Kim Possible. Then you've got Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy animated series, Marvel's Ultimate Spider-Man, Mickey and the Roadster Racers, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. You got Raven on there. Raven's Home is on there. And then there's also That's So Raven, another Raven. And there's also The Simpsons. Because why not?
Because Disney owned Fox.
Yeah. Disney owns everything. So, and it basically Disney Plus is going to get you a lot of things from your childhood that you probably remember, all of the movies that you loved, and all the shows.
Disney, the China of entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm looking forward to on the Disney Plus channel when it comes out is they're going to have the Mandalorian TV series.
Yeah.
Which is like it's a Star Wars TV series, and like from early previews looks really, really cool. And they're going to have all the Avengers movies on there, right? Like the whole Marvel universe is going to be on there.
Yeah, so all of the new stuff they're doing is if you want to go and watch a new Marvel movie, they're going to have a TV series that kind of does the origin story of one of the characters that you're going to see in that Marvel movie.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So for you to fully experience the Marvel universe, you kind of need Disney Plus so you can watch all of those series.
Like brand new stuff too. Even like characters that haven't been introduced in the Marvel movies are going to get their own series.
Cool.
They are,
Yeah.
Cool.
Like if you're a Marvel fan or if you're a Star Wars fan, it's kind of a must buy.
It is, yeah.
What I'm really curious about is like you talk a lot about the extended catalog stuff. Disney's been famous over the years for kind of they put stuff out there and then pull it back off the market to create like a false demand kind of, and I wonder if they'll do it the same way. I wonder if they'll just put like all their back catalog up, or if they'll kind of rotate it in and out over time so that you feel the need. If you're a big Disney fan and you want to see all the old animated features, if you'll feel the need to keep it for months and months to see all of it, like if let's say Snow White doesn't come on initially, it comes on from December till February, and then it goes back off the service again, something like that. I wonder if they'll do.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do something like that. Rotate catalogs per season.
Yeah,
Would not be surprised.
Because I
I hope they put all the Marvel movies up, because it'd be nice if there's one place where you could watch kind of like the whole Marvel cinematic universe.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
We've never really had that, right? Unless you bought like every DVD.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you could watch each movie, and then you could watch the TV series. It goes along with the other thing, and then watch the next movie. It will really be great for any kind of Marvel fan.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, honestly. I've been on the fence mostly, but hearing like the backlog, like DuckTales, honestly, that's some childhood stuff for me. Being able to just be like, episode 1, let's go. Let's see where we went with this. We just have it on the background.
But I'm really excited for like the Sword in the Stone movie. I love that movie, and I only had it on like VHS, and now like I'm gonna be able to watch it on Disney Plus.
I think I've only seen that movie once, and it was in like an ABC Sunday night movie, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
When I was a little kid.
Yeah, I'm
You guys remember when they used to do that? They used to play a movie on like Saturday night or Sunday night.
I do.
For ABC?
Like, I don't know which channel it was. It was just like, but they used to do like.
There was usually like a movie
back
night
in the
type
day.
of thing.
There was a day when you couldn't own movies at your house, right? Like rich people had VHS. The rest of us,
newfangled technology.
The rest of us were lucky to have cable. If A, it came to your house, and B, you could afford it.
Yeah.
But on regular broadcast TV, they would show some movies on like during the evening.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like your only chance to watch those movies.
Yeah, I vaguely recall that. Yeah. Yep.
And if you really want to sink your teeth into all the information, Disney put out a 3-hour, 17-minute YouTube video showing a trailer for every single thing that's coming.
Is it
to the US
hosted? Is it hosted by Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck?
It's unfortunately not. It's just one trailer after the other.
Immediately get your YouTube channel banned. You repost that. You're like, boom, you're off of YouTube just like that.
They should like, if you watch the whole 3 hours, they should give you like a discount code on your first month of membership,
Yeah.
just because you're
Right.
that dedicated.
That'd be great.
A 3-hour trailer? What the hell? That's not even a trailer. That's a feature film.
Yeah, I love watching trailers too. I'll sit there on the Apple TV. They have like their own trailer app where you just watch trailers.
Oh.
I'll sit there for hours watching that.
I have a tough time with Netflix because they have the trailer automatically pops up with stuff. I'll find myself watching
Oh, yeah.
trailers of all their new shows for like 20 minutes before I watch something.
Yeah,
Because I'm like,
yeah, totally.
well, that was a fascinating journey through the show that I'm not going to watch. Next.
They have there's a name for that. It's like the too much choice. Like it locks you up. You can't make a decision because there's too many choices.
Paralysis.
Yeah.
It's a big
Yeah,
problem
yeah.
at
Paralysis from
modern
analysis.
grocery stores. Yeah, paralysis from analysis. It's a big problem at grocery stores. It's like you're confronted by 30 different types of green beans, so you can't
Yeah.
pick a green bean.
Well, that's why Trader Joe's works. You go there, there's like 1 or 2 options, and they
Right.
curate it, and that's why you go in there.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, these are the beans I'm gonna buy because it's
Right.
only those beans.
And if you are a fan of Chippendales, like I am, just want to let you know that Rescue
I got
Rangers
all their
1 and
calendars.
2 will be available on Disney Plus. It's all there. It is all there. Briar, we're
Amazing.
not talking about the strippers.
Oh,
Although you know what? They might be on Disney Plus.
Disney.
I
They'll
wouldn't
be
be
on Disney
surprised.
Plus Plus.
I gotta
It's
tell you, when I
Disney
first
After
tuned in
Dark.
on Chippendales Rescue Rangers, I was sorely disappointed. Oh, we were gonna get some pretty spicy content.
Oh my.
Before the show, me and Watts were talking a little bit about how Capcom used to make all the video games for those old Disney TV shows, like DuckTales and Chippendales, and even some Mickey Mouse Castle of Illusion
The
stuff.
Castle of Illusion.
Oh, that game was
Good.
great.
I know.
Yeah.
It was and just to go back to your save, you had to like put in the right cards, like the king card and the heart Queen of Hearts card.
Oh yeah.
That's how you loaded your game.
That's great. You
I don't
write
even
down,
remember
write down
that
the
part.
But
combination.
I had a notepad with all of the combinations of how to get back to my save.
That's right. Before games had battery backups, they just had passwords.
They did, yeah.
Has any
Yep.
modern game done that today? Like, I feel like that'd be a really
I
Gotta be
want
some of that 8-bit retro stuff.
Right?
Somebody's got to be doing
where
it.
instead
Yeah.
of saving a save file, they want you to like put in a code to like restore.
write it down.
I wanna
Super
do that.
inconvenient.
Bring it back.
Yeah, I remember game manuals used to have like pages on the back that you could write the codes,
Oh yeah.
the passwords
Oh,
in.
that was amazing.
Yeah.
I miss having manuals. I used to love like I remember it used to be the thing where if like because now post just arrive super late, but when post used to arrive early, like the game would get delivered before I go to school, so I just take the manual and put it in my pocket, so at least I could read it during school
Yeah.
and just like feel
Yeah.
like I'm closer to the game. And it's
Yeah.
just like, but now you open them and at best you get like a one piece of code that's like, here's your digital download code. I'm like, oh
Right.
Yeah.
Here's a link to the game's manual online.
yeah. I
Yeah.
can't spell it if it's online. I
Do you
need to get
remember-
a snippet.
In the 90s, PC games were coming with all sorts of shit in the box, like cloth
Yeah.
maps with like the game world. They come with like they'd come with novels in them. Like I remember the TIE Fighter game came with like a small book like about the character and his origin.
Mm-hmm.
Like incredible stuff was going on in there. Now they still make all that stuff. They just charge you an extra $100 for it and call it a special edition.
Yeah.
But like in the 90s, that stuff came in the box.
I remember having the Super Mario World manual. I think it was Super Mario
Mhm.
World. Might have been Super Mario Bros. 3. Well, I had both, but like I can't remember which one specifically. It was just a nice thick booklet of all the abilities. It was World. It was definitely World because it showed like, you know, the leaf ability and like the different types of
Yeah.
Mario, and like it gave you like these frame by frames of how you actually use all the abilities in the booklet itself, and it was just really nice. And I remember like
They'd have
Yeah.
caricatures of the enemies
Yeah.
and like a backstory or like an explanation of what the character is. Like,
I
what
don't
the
remember if
enemy
it had
is.
like a lore backstory type of thing, but it definitely was like this enemy will do this type of stuff, and like
Yeah.
I believe, anyways, if I recall correctly. And like I remember finding it 10 years later and looking through the book and being like, this is such a nice book of information. Just it's
Yeah.
nostalgic
Yeah.
and nice to look at.
One of the things I've liked about the Switch is going back to the store to buy retail copies of games. And there's kind of this market now of even digital downloads. Games that go directly digital are now getting kind of re-releases in physical copies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like
I've been
Hollow
trying to buy some
Knight.
of them.
Yeah, Hollow Knight, stuff like that has been big in that.
Yeah.
And with the Switch in particular, because it's a cartridge-based system, you know, it kind of, I don't know, it lends itself well to that, because I can foresee a future where, you know, the Switch, much like the Wii shop, you lose access to that store, and there's not enough storage on the Switch to store all the games. So I've kind of thought like having those cartridges would be nice, because some of those games are fantastic and they're going to be good for years and years to come.
Yeah. I tried to collect as many of those as I can. Like there's like, for a while I used to just buy like all things physically just because I like having them on the shelf. But like for things like PlayStation, Xbox, I'm just like, I'll just download it. But Switch, I am trying to make a point of buying like as many as I can. And if there's any that are, you know, unfortunate enough, and if there's any that I get as like review copies, I also just go and buy my own copy as well, just because I'm just like, well, I want to have it and I want to also support developers and stuff. So yeah.
Well, there's
I remember going shopping with my mom, and she would always buy me a game to keep me happy while we're going shopping. And so I would just be reading the booklet the whole time that we're walking around stuff, because I'm like, I get to learn about the characters. I get to learn in Resident Evil that Jill Valentine's blood type is whatever.
Right.
That was great. I love that feeling of opening it up, and there's this booklet in there, brand new, got that new booklet smell.
Yep.
It was great.
I've got distinct memories of the same type of thing, because my parents were like busy running a business, and like every now and then be like, all right, let's go. And we'd go to Toys R Us, and this was in San Diego. And I'd go to the game aisle, and it would be like this big wall of game, like just covers that you then take the sheet to bring it up to the front to actually buy the game. And like, you know, there was no internet. There was no, like, at most there was some magazines that you could get, but like I was a kid, so I didn't have like subscriptions to all the magazines knowing what was what. So I'd have to look at the wall and be like, what game do I want to get? And it was $60 back then too. And I was like, this only happens a few times throughout the year. I got to be very specific.
My mom would take me to like the old school game store where they have all of the older stuff, because then it's cheaper, because obviously it's an older game. But I didn't know that as a kid, because I've never played it, and I don't even know what a used game store is. So we'd go there, and I'd be playing all these like really old games because they're cheaper. But it was great.
It was simpler times though, when like you like same sort of thing like you were saying. Like I could sort of go to the shop, and the only way you would know if you like a game, you would turn it over and look at the back of the like 3 screenshots that are on the back, and like, this looks fun. That's literally how I got into Monster Hunter. It was literally like it was buy one get one free. I was like, there's a giant T-Rex looking thing on the front of the box with this guy with a sword on the back. This looks kind of cool. Let me buy it. And then
that's amazing.
Oh, here we are.
Now we're like,
that's why I bought Metroid. Like this character looks dope. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just for a reference, in 1995, $60 worth of 1995 money is the equivalent of $100 in 2019 money. So like, that's how much games used to cost. It used to be a significant investment to get a new game.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's
it's
why
amazing
I was really
we still sell games for $60, to be honest.
That's true. That's probably why we have all these microtransactions. It's where it all begun. They're like, we need a little bit more money. How do we do that?
Do you want your...
Yeah, some games were more expensive. I remember I bought Strider for the Genesis, and it was like an 8 megabyte cartridge. So it was like twice the size of a normal Genesis cartridge. But it was like $90 in 1990 whatever money. It was really expensive, but god damn, that game looked good in screenshots, so I wanted it.
Was that on like the Nomad or something like that? You remember?
No, it was on Genesis.
Remember how the Genesis had like an upgrade to it that you'd
the Nomad was the portable system. Oh, the 32X.
Was that what it was? Yeah.
The 32X was like the 32-bit version of the Genesis. And basically what it did it took the video signal out of the Genesis and input it into the 32X that was on top of it, and added another layer of graphics on top of what the Genesis was putting out. It was super cheesy, and probably ultimately started the downfall of Sega.
Yeah.
Sega 32X, Sega CD, both of which were very expensive and got canceled very quickly because the Saturn came out, and then the Saturn didn't do very well at all because they had really focused on 2D graphics while PlayStation was out there with Ridge Racer and these beautiful 3D games.
Yeah.
You know what I miss? Multiple CDs. That's what I miss.
That
Where
still
you're playing through
happens.
It does. It very rarely, but it's just you feel so accomplished when you get to the point where they're like, insert disc 2. And I'm like, yes, I did it. I want to the next disc.
And then like 10 minutes later, it's like insert disc 1. You're like, what the fuck?
Right.
Yeah.
That Final Fantasy 7 multi-disc
Yeah.
on PlayStation.
Yeah. Last of Us 2 is going to be on multiple discs if you don't download it.
Yep.
Nice.
I want that OG experience.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 7 was the one and only game I actually tried to copy with my CD burner that at the time was like, oh my God, I got a CD burner. I can make CDs. This is crazy, you know? And it didn't work.
Yeah. Was it one of the stereo deck ones?
No, it was a computer drive.
Or was it built into your computer?
Yeah.
Okay. Because they used to have CD burners that were stereo, like part of your stereo system.
Yeah. No, this
was crazy.
This was a like back then it was ROMs and then there was writing drives. And like that was obviously more expensive. And I was into building computers as in high school with my brother. So like we got components. And I remember getting that and then trying to copy the Final Fantasy CD. Yeah.
Remember the original PlayStation discs were black on the bottom?
Yeah, exactly.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Those still look cool.
Yeah. Those do look cool.
A little trip down nostalgia lane. This was fun.
Right?
Yeah.
I think is that the
If
show?
you're young, you don't know what any of this means.
Right? Yeah.
So I hope your Fortnite comes back soon.
Next thing you're going to tell me is that you didn't have a cell phone. That's crazy, right?
We called cordless phones. You know, that was a mobile phone. Was just a phone that you could walk 10 feet away from the receiver because it didn't have a cord.
Oh man, that's the show, right?
Yeah,
I
that was a
think
good
so.
show. That was fun.
It was.
SideQuest complete.
SideQuest episode 21. Thank you very much for watching, guys. We'll be back next week, hopefully with some interesting tidbits in the gaming universe. I'm sure there will be some stuff.
Next week we can talk about Nintendo's fitness device.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I'm excited
right.
to talk about that.
Yeah.
Are you gonna go see that?
I have seen it already.
You have seen it already, but you can't talk about it yet.
Yeah. Not quite yet, but by next week I will do.
I'm
Creamy
excited to
discussions
hear about
abound.
Creamy
Yeah.
discussions. There you
that.
go.
Creamy workouts.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, thank you very much for watching, guys. That's SideQuest. If you want to find more of me, you can talk to me at Teft on Twitter and catch my streams twitch.tv/TeftyTeft.
Hello. I am Watts, Miss 5000 Watts. You can find me on Twitch, and YouTube and Twitter.
Twitch.
Just look for Miss 5000 Watts.
Was
Uh,
five, wait,
Go ahead.
It's just gonna be stand
I'm
up.
not gonna go. I'm just gonna make it as awkward as possible.
okay, all right. You can find me over on Twitter at Arix, and you can find me over on YouTube at Arix G, where we'll be covering. I don't know what it is this week. More Borderlands, more Monster Hunter, some of everything.
Rajang. We didn't talk about Rajang.
Oh yeah, next week definitely.
Next week, we're
Rajang,
gonna have to.
spicy boy.
I'm Briar Rabbit. You can find me on ChristianMingles.com. I'll see you guys next week.
You don't have to be lonely at Farmers Only.
Farmers only.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.